It's a continuation of the Music Fundamentals lecture. So beats 1 and 3 are the strongest beats, and beats 2 and 4, what we call the backbeat. And that's where we tend to clap. You might have seen there used to be a commercial where they you'll hear rappers do it a lot. You know, they'll do the that kind of thing. And a very simple version is boots and pants and boots and pants and boots and pants and boots and pants. Well, the pants is the backbeat. You know, that's where the boots and pants and boots and pants and where someone would normally clap. Okay, so that's the best description that I can offer you what the backbeat sounds like, where it is, that kind of thing. All right, syncopation. Again, the strongest beats are on the downbeats. And I can use subdivision here as I'm doing with the 16th notes on top. And there's an accent by virtue of two instruments playing on the downbeat. You can tell there's the strongest notes are because there's two instruments or two notes playing on the downbeat. But what if I change it and accent one of these little beats that aren't on the downbeat? That's syncopation. When I'm accenting one of those little weak beats, that's syncopation. There's a name for it. It gives it a real jerky feel. Here's the beat. 1, 2, 3. And if I were doing something boring, I would do that, but I add some syncopation. It gives it some motion. It gives it a little propels it a bit. That's what syncopation does. It makes it fun. Okay? So anyway, that's what syncopation does. That's what it looks like. But the simplest definition is just accenting weak beats. Okay. And what does accent mean? Play something stronger, louder, right? Okay, so I've come to the end of the lecture. Any questions? Okay, we'll pick up with some other music fundamentals on Friday. There is an assignment. I'm also going to post the first study guide. I'll post it here in a little bit, and you'll be able to get it on download it. And what the study guide has on it is, and I'll show it to you so you know what you're looking for. Okay. So this is the first study guide. And just to go over it, you'll see several terms, and this you should get out of the lectures, and there's an assignment I'm going to give you in just a moment. And there's some other terms that you'll get out of the other lectures as well. Wait, that's not the one. That's just two. No, it's this one. There it is. Okay. So you have these terms, and then there are some videos that you're going to have to watch to also pick up some of these other terms. Elements of music, timbre, texture, what those things are, and form. We'll talk about that at another lecture. Then, out of the text, there are several terms you're also going to look for. And as you'll see here, you'll have several names or other things that you need to find out of the introduction in chapter 1. I caution you to just being satisfied with looking in the index for maybe a definition or a glossary, because what I need you to know is the context in which we're talking about. For example, if I talked about or asked you about Jim Crow, and that will be on the next study guide. What do you know about Jim Crow? You may think you already know. What's that? Okay, well, many who remember their Civil War history or post-Civil War history, post-bellum, will know that there were many laws enacted in the South to prevent Southern blacks from voting, and a lot of those things. That was something that the Southern Democrat Party was doing. Anyway, but that doesn't answer what Jim Crow is or who he was. Why do they call it Jim Crow laws? So who was Jim Crow? Point is, when I give you terms, make sure you find it in the reading, in the text, and find out the context in which they're talking about. Okay, we'll talk about Jim Crow a little later, but my point is that when I give you terms out of the text, I want to make sure you've read the text to understand this. Some of these things might be difficult, but that's why I'm here. Again, I'm not going to read the textbook to you. It's for you to do. I mean, that's part of being a college student. That's what makes you worth so much, right? Are you all freshmen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I'll share this with you for the benefit of whatever benefit it may be for you. What makes a college graduate so valuable, the assumption is because that person is very practiced and understands how to research. I've already used a couple of terms that had y'all scratching your heads, right? There's at least one reference that you need to have with you all the time when you're reading a college level textbook. What is that? A dictionary. All right? I've already given you a bunch of terms that you didn't know. And reading at the college level, talking at the college level means, learning a higher level of, being more articulate, learning more words, having more at your command, understanding what they are. So, you're going to be bombarded in all your textbooks with new words that you don't know. And this is no different. You're going to see it in Garofalo's text as well. So the point is, in your college studies and throughout your college years in college, not everything is in that textbook. Sometimes you need another book to help you understand that book. Sometimes a couple of other books, and sometimes you got to call somebody. Now, after 4 years of doing that all the time, who would I want to hire to help manage my business or do whatever, Somebody who's practiced at research and understands that Yeah, if I don't have the answer, I got to look for it. Or someone who has no discipline to do that, right? It's no different. So make sure as you read the text, you have a textbook with you or a dictionary with you. So you can, and nowadays it's great. You can just, what is that word? And you Google it. Ask you if you want the definition or you want it, the context. Sometimes it's, wow, I didn't know that word was used to associate this with a political thing, 100 years ago, that suffrage. What is a suffragette? Paul McCartney wrote a song about it was called Jet, but he was talking about a woman's suffragette. But when I first heard it, I thought he was just talking about the jet, like flying through the sky. But the words didn't match. You're talking about a woman's suffragette, suffering what? And I didn't know what a suffragette was, until got it in a history class and they started talking about women's suffrage, and so yes, women's who were. He was kind of using it as a tongue-in-cheek reference to, liberated women of the 70s who were, the women's lib movement, during that day, kind of tying it back to the first women's movement, which was in the 20s, that the First Lady was talking about last night, when she talked about the 100-year mark of, women's suffrage, and the women's right to vote and the 19th Amendment, that kind of thing. So anyway, you clear my point. Sometimes you need another reference to understand what you're reading so you can understand what it is. Some call it eating an elephant. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? So that's all you can do. So make sure as you do your reading, you understand the context in which those terms or words were used. It's a history class, so you need to understand what was going on back then that made them use that term. Okay. All right, then the last part of the study guide is a listening list. And you'll see here I have 30 songs. So by the time my course is in, we'll have 5 lists of 30, 150 songs, and a couple extras here and there that you will listen to during the course. Don't get scared. You've heard a lot of these before. The whole point is to understand who they were and be able to say, you have probably heard a lot of songs and just think to yourself, that's an old-timey song, but don't know what decade it came from, that kind of thing. So we're going to start listening to these, and then you'll be able to, after we've gone through the 3 decades we're going to cover, be able to hear what makes them similar and what era they were recorded in, because the recording techniques of the 50s were different than they were in the 60s, which were different than they were in the 70s. And of course, in the 80s, we're going to go in farther. But now we're in the digital age, but back then, tape recorders and, record making was very different. And it has that scratchy sound. It's got that old kind of sound. Why? We'll talk about that too. Point is, don't be overwhelmed by all these. I'm going to try to put together, just on your own, go to YouTube or whatever music program you like. Some of you may have iTunes or whatever, and put your song list together and start listening to them. Get to know who the artist is or the group is that recorded the song, and of course the name of the song. And that's what you're going to be required to. Because on the test, I'll play about 10 seconds of each of these songs, and you're going to be required to identify them. Okay? Yeah, you need to know who it is and what the name of the song is and who recorded it or who released it. A lot of these songs, of course, the person who wrote it isn't the one who recorded it. And there's a lot of cover songs. We'll talk about that in another lecture. But you understand the assignment, okay? So there's 2 or 3 parts to every study guide. It's terms that you need to be looking for during the lectures, terms you need to be getting out of the text, and then your listening portion, okay? Good? All right, if there weren't any other questions, I'll have this uploaded here in a little while. I'm going to go to my office and put that up. I'm sorry? The assignment? Yes. start listening and start finding these terms in your text. And okay. Yeah, you'll need the textbook next Friday. Okay, yeah, there's, and some you can download them now.
I did it like in Word so that you can edit it like highlight and stuff. Did you just like look up the book and Library Genesis and get the ISBN number and then it should be there. You have to try different links so sometimes it don't work.
Wow, even new ways. Okay, very good. Thank you.